Well, welcome everyone to the November koha-US General Meeting. Hope everyone is doing well. Jennifer has posted the agenda in the chat. So first off, do we have any announcements? Sounds like no. So we'll move on. So our first two things are we have an upcoming election for koha-US board members. And we want to introduce our candidates. First, the voting will start right after this meeting. I'll go ahead and send out an email to all current koha-US members with a link to the ballot. And this year we have the positions are vice president, treasurer, and member supported. Those are the positions we're voting on for this year. And we asked our different candidates to join us and maybe introduce themselves, say a little bit about themselves, maybe a little bit about why they want to be on the koha-US board. So we've got two candidates for vice president, Bob Benhoff and James Donaldson. Bob, you want to start us off and say a little something?
Sure. My name is Bob Benhoff. I'm in Colorado. I manage Aspen Cat, which is a mix of a lot of library types, all mostly in rural Colorado. And we support 158 libraries as of Monday. So I've been on the board as the member supported the last couple of years and been very involved with conference planning and I run the consortia special interest group. So I just want to continue to work with this great organization. That's I like what we've done before and during my time on with involvement, and just want to continue to see that happen.
Okay. Any questions for Bob? All righty. And our other candidate for vice president is James Donaldson. You want to say something, James?
Sure, thank you. So hey everyone, I'm James Donaldson. I'm one of the assistant directors of Montgomery County Public Libraries in Maryland. We're in the DC metro area. We are actually recent additions to the Koha community in general. We switched to Koha back in October of last year. So that's been a really exciting journey for all of us. What do? I have a portfolio that includes collection management, technology management, digital strategies, data analytics, and various aspects of operations for the county. We're a decent sized library system. There's bigger ones, there's smaller ones. We have about 21 branches. We have about 400 staff. And we're getting our team really involved in Koha. We created a whole job to focus on it and learn to develop patches for it and things like that. We're with ByWater and they've been great collaborators. And I also take a lot of calls from other library systems who are super interested in Koha. I get one or two of those every single week. We've even had people fly to see us and to meet our staff and to talk about it. And so we've really kind of taken a role of, Koha evangelism, basically, to sort of tell people about what's great about it, why we're a part of it, and to invite them to join us too. And I really feel like this is a special time for Koha. Like all of you were here first, but there's a lot of people who are expressing interest in wanting to join us. And so I really think this is a time of growth, for Koha libraries in general, for koha-US specifically. I chose to run for this because I'd love to get involved. I think your organization is great. It's already here. That's awesome. I'm hoping, more and more people from our team can be a part of koha-US. I've already inquired about trying to establish an Eastern US user group for Koha because all the ones on your website are other parts of the country, and more systems over here are switching. There's another Maryland library system that's about to switch, for example. And so I'm hoping to do that. We're hoping to pitch Montgomery County, Maryland also as a site for the next conference, and to really just be contributory and valuable any way we can. So I appreciate the time. I will say Felicity and I, she'll speak in a second. We have 2 meetings at the same time right now. And so we just popped out of the other meeting to come to this meeting, and we're gonna have to pop back in, unfortunately. And so we'll be departing, but like I said, thank you for your time. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That's great. Thanks, James. Any questions for James?
Yeah, I think it's strange that I think it's the first time we've had 2 people competing. Thought we were supposed to be a self-perpetuating oligarchy.
No one told me
Style
that.
ballot. Yes, strange. But can you say which other Maryland library system is about to go with COA?
I'm not sure if it's public knowledge. I've been
Okay.
looking for their press release, is why I phrased it like that. And there's another system elsewhere in the Eastern United States that I'm excited about whenever they announce. And so I'm hoping we can all just keep gaining more and more momentum, because that's just beneficial to every single one of us, you know.
Okay, so our next position is member at large supported. That means a library that is supported by a support vendor. There's a lot of supported there, but so we have 2 candidates for that. We have Michael Adamic. I'm not sure if I pronounce his last name correctly, and I don't see him here. Is he here? I don't think so. And our other candidate is Felicity Brown. So Felicity, would you like to say something?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Felicity Brown, and I'm the collection manager here at Montgomery County Public Libraries. I happened to move into this position right as we were migrating, which was really exciting. But I have a lot of acquisitions background with other ILSs before I came here. And so I'm really enjoying the ability to play with it and break it and fix it and all of the things that we get to do and manipulate this open source environment. I've been on Olive, I've been on Millennium. I was on the product working group for Voyager. So I've gotten to play a little bit with other systems before, but this is the first time I've really gotten to dig in. So I was actually on one of the selection groups for Library of Congress when they were reviewing ILSs. They did not go the way I would have expected them to go, but they made their choice. So, but I really enjoy the digging into Koha and how we can work as a community. I've been really enjoying the Bugzilla community and watching things develop over time and how we can look at things one year and then the next year we figure out a way to do it. So I'm really excited to sort of work with other groups that are also supported and help, you know, like James said, evangelize COA to the greater public library world. I come from mostly academic research background where there's sometimes more flexibility, but ooh, okay, the secrets have been leaked. Thank you, Adam. And like we said, having an Eastern representation for what has been more of a Western, you know, product, we're really excited about that. Yeah, I look forward to getting more involved in the organization. I've been involved with ALA, ELEX, which is now CORE, for a long time. And I love doing this kind of work, connecting communities in the library environment. So thank you.
That's great, Felicity. Any questions for her? Okay, and Michael, who is the other candidate, is from Central Kansas Library System, and they've been on Koha for a little while now. It's a consortium. Some of the Kansas people probably know more about that area, and he may pop in later, and if he does, we'll let him talk to us. And then so George says Central Kansas has been on since 2008, so really long time. And then our other open position is treasurer, and we right now have no No one put their name up for treasurer. No one nominated someone else for treasurer without their knowledge. So we don't have anybody on the ballot for that, but as you look at the ballot, you've got the candidate names. You can write in a candidate and you can also abstain. So if you want to vote for one position, but not the other, you can do that. I'm going to send out the ballot to the members right after this meeting. It's only going to be open for a week. So we're going to close it next Wednesday. So as soon as I send that out today, you should look at it and vote. Just do it, get it out of the way, and then you'll know that you've got your vote has been recorded and heard. Any other questions about the officer elections? Christopher, no, you keep saying that. And if you do it, I will decline.
Not a question, but a comment as the person that manages membership. Membership in the official membership list is completely up to date. We did have 2 people join the organization within the past week. They have been added to the official members list, so they will also receive notification that voting for the board positions is open.
So that means when I send this email out to the group in the Google Drive, I'm reaching everyone, right?
That is correct.
Good. Okay, so let's see. Our next item is in December, we're going to be opening up the site location proposals for our next koha-US 2023.
Hey, Barbara.
Yes.
Michael just got here.
Oh, Michael, we've gone through our different candidates, had them speak, and would you like to speak about running for member at large supported?
Yes, thank you, Barbara. I'm Michael Adamic, and I'm from the Central Kansas Library System, and I've been in my position for since January 2020, and been using koha-US a lot to learn since then. And it wasn't until the koha-US conference this year that I really started getting involved in all the different things that koha-US does, and really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed getting to know the people and meeting everyone. And so I'm looking forward to an opportunity to get more involved and continue to learn that way. ByWater Solutions is the provider for CKLS, our supporter, and we've used them since 2012. And I think that's about it.
Any questions for Michael? All right. Well, thank you really to everybody who has put themselves on the ballot or got nominated and is willing to run. Getting involved is a great way to give back to the Koha community. So we'll have a nice election with positions that are up for grabs, and you get to vote for your favorite person to fill those positions. And I see that I have George to thank that I will be past president, I see, and that prevents me from running from any other office. So there you go. So let's see, site location proposals are coming up. We will open that up on December 1st and close it on December 31st. So if you are wanting to put your location forward for the upcoming 2023 koha-US conference, that is your opportunity. We will be looking at the proposal form at our conference meeting to make sure we've kind of got that all how we want it. Anybody else have questions or want to say something about being a site for a conference, or, you know, why you should do it, or people that have done it want to chime in? Okay, well, so look for that. I see we have a whole thing going on over here in chat.
I will say that, you know, we've been a past host for a conference, and that was really enjoyable. We you know, it's not just providing a space, but, you know, we got our friends of the library involved, and board members involved, and staff members involved, and I think it was a good experience for everybody. It was also one of the first times that we ever did a dual track, and I think it may have been one of the first, I can't remember, it might have been one of the first times that we've broadcast or streamed the presentations. But I'm not sure. But you know, we did some things for the first time there, and you know, it was good. I enjoyed doing it a lot. I know that, you know, it's a mixed bag for people. Some people like it, some people don't. But I really enjoy getting together with everybody, and it's like, you know, inviting people into my home. You know, it was just you know, fun to show off, but it was also fun to just invite people in and be hospitable, and treat everybody to a great environment to get together and learn. And so, you know, it's, you know, and we have a good committee. We usually have a good committee that chips in and helps each other. And every time we get together, you know, it seems effortless. Well, at least it does on my part, because I didn't have to stand up in front of everybody all the time. But no, you know, the committee is always good at pitching in and helping, and even people that weren't on the committee pitched in and helped. And you know, so there's never a lack of help in areas, and you will not be doing this alone, that's for sure.
And if there's, you know, people that want to get involved in koha-US in another way, you know, we can always use more members on the conference planning committee, because it does take a lot of work, but it's fun. And, you know, that's another way that you could contribute if you'd like. Any other, want to say anything else about site location proposals coming up? Okay, so John wanted to talk to us about 2023 koha-US membership.
We've got 2023 membership that we're planning on opening up after the next general meeting. Christopher Brannon has been putting a lot of work into a new membership interface that will incorporate things in a slightly different manner. And for those of you that are not familiar with the process, if you are currently a member in 2022, you'll get a renewal invitation that will have all of the information we have on you in our membership roster. If there are no changes in that information, renewal will be very simple and quick. If there are changes to your membership information, you'll be able to indicate that and provide them to us. As coded within our bylaws, membership for the entirety of calendar year 2023 will be $25. And that is something, you know, the board doesn't vote on that. The members don't vote on that. It's actually in our bylaws. So we've had our membership set at $25 since our first year of memberships in 2018. And that rate for the full year continues. Another reminder is that these are calendar year memberships, not rolling year memberships. So when you fill in the form and submit your payment will be good for the entirety of the calendar year or upon receipt of your payment, whichever is later. And your membership will expire at the end of 2023. Memberships do not auto-renew, and memberships are non-refundable once paid. All of that information will be on the membership form. We look forward to welcoming everybody back or welcoming you to koha-US if you are currently not a member. If you do have any questions about membership, you can either send them to the general info at koha-US.org or to me directly at treasurer@koha-US.org, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Again, membership will open at the conclusion of next month's general meeting, and we look forward to seeing many, if not all of you, back on our membership rolls for the upcoming year.
Any questions for Jon? And you can pay online, but if your organization doesn't allow that, we can send an invoice. That's correct, Jon, isn't it?
That's correct. In fact, when you complete the membership form, you'll get an invoice from me. If you've paid, the invoice will actually reflect that, and then receipts are separately sent out as well.
So I encourage everyone to be a member, and if you know people who aren't here today, encourage them. It's only $25. That is so cheap. And you get to vote on officers, you get to vote on the site for the conference. There's all kinds of other things, and it's just such a small amount to be a part of a great organization.
And we do not have institutional memberships. We only have individual memberships. So multiple individual memberships from any institution are welcome and in fact encouraged.
How many members did we have in 2022?
We are currently at 50, since I was just updating this, I'm not sure. We are at 55 members in calendar year 2022. And that's a mix of full year memberships and a few half-year memberships for those that tend to join around the conference.
And are we a little bit lower than we were before COVID?
A little bit lower. The maximum number we've had, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think we got up to as high as 65 members one year. That was either 2020 or 2019. COVID really impacted things. So we've been a little lower than what we had planned in the budget, but we're still doing actually pretty well. And we've had a lot of interest this year, which really kind of surprised me, because this was a KohaCon and there was not a registration fee. The usual benefit of discounted conference attendance was not available. We almost always see an influx in half-year members around the conference because it's cheaper to join and register for the conference than it is to pay for the conference as a non-member. Without registration, I didn't think really we'd see any half-year memberships this year, but we've seen quite a number.
And we'd really love to get back to growing our membership. So please join.
I will say that, the primary focus of the membership isn't just, we have a reason to charge people, that membership goes a long ways. Part of it does go towards the conference, and that is always a great annual event to be a part of. And I highly encourage everybody to be a part of that. But, the funds that we collect help go towards, a large part of that goes towards development. We, as a community, try to work together to build Koha better, and we can't do that effectively if we don't have the funds to help go behind some of the developments we want to see move forward. So that development, we shop for that, but honestly, $25 for a year is goes a long way for making a development happen and being a part of that.
And we've sponsored officially 2 things over the years, and we do have any money that the organization does not use towards its organizational expenses is put aside for member determined purposes. And for those of you that, because we are a nonprofit, we are a completely transparent organization. And if you go to our website, there's actually a whole section on finances that outlines our budgets and our annual reports and tells you the status of what we call the discretionary fund on the board from year to year to year.
And what Christopher said, that's a perfect segue into the next item on the agenda, which is development proposals.
Yeah, so development proposals, we take proposals all throughout the year, and we are ramping up to vet existing proposals, any proposals that we have on hand for the next round for our development sponsorship. We are still working on a development, which I'll talk about later, but doesn't mean we can't gear up for next year's development project. We have, if you go to koha-US.org/developments, you will find the page that talks about our development process, and also a link at the top, a button where you can propose a development. If it's just an idea, or if it's something that you've talked to developers with or companies and gotten a quote on, or it's a bug that has your interest, please feel free to submit it as a proposal, something that we can consider for our next round. We did make one change this year with developments. In the development proposal process was always opened to the public. However, we wanted to, because this is voted on by members only, we decided that we were going to make it so that the developments are proposed by members. So this is another perk of being a member. If you are a member, you get to freely submit proposal ideas, and we don't limit you to how many proposals you can submit. So but as of this year, you do need to be a member in order to submit proposals. So we encourage people to push ideas through there. If there's something that you really want to see move forward, please put it in there. Keep in mind, we are funding this through membership fees and what money we are able to put together through fundraising, but we can't do an overhaul of the Koha system. But if it's a reasonable size project, I mean, we've worked with projects of I can't remember if we've done a project that's over 4,000, but not to say that we're going to spend that much on each project, but we will consider anything that's reasonable and within the the budget that we have on hand at the time. And we put that before the development committee, and if you want to be involved in the development in a different way, you can always be a part of the development committee. So that's it for development.
Any questions for Christopher? Okay, so committee updates. I'm not sure I have anything else to say about the conference committee, except that we're meeting after this meeting. Anybody else on the committee have anything they want to talk about?
I will reiterate, it's a good time to join the committee if you're not on it, because we are gearing up for next year. So whether you're planning to, you want to host or you just want to be involved in the process, feel free to join us after this meeting and be a part of that.
So we're back to the current development we're working on. Christopher, you want to update us?
Seems like I was just speaking.
You were, and you're going to be speaking a lot next year.
So yeah, we have a development in process. That was, oh, I don't have that number in front of me. If you have the bug number, feel free to throw it in chat. But we're working on a bug where the messages that we put in the staff interface for the patrons, we're planning to make that so that a patron can mark it as read. So we get some sort of acknowledgement on the staff side that they've read it, and it disappears from their side, so they don't have to keep looking at it, even though they've seen it and read it. And it was bug 12029. Thank you, Jason, for putting that back up there. But we've had some snags this past year with the developer we hired. We tried to try out a new developer, and that didn't work out too well. We got the work done, but in the end, the community has failed the patch because the developer didn't follow the community guidelines. And so we're having to look at other developers to see if someone can finish up the work, either by cleaning it up or reworking the patch. We have an offer from Catalyst, I think it was Catalyst, who was involved in part of the development. They had a partial sponsorship on their end, and they had pushed some of the patch for that. So they offered to possibly finish that up, and I can't remember if we got a quote on that, but I have that information in my emails. But we wanted to ask ByWater if they had a take on it, and if they would offer up a quote on finishing it up. They came back and said that they're interested. They might want to take a different approach to it, but they can't tell us much about that right now. They said to get back with them after this next upgrade. So after December, they can give us more information. They'll look at it a little bit deeper and let us know what they had in mind, but they might want to take a different approach on it. And there may or may not be a fee involved. So we're waiting to see what they say on that before moving forward and deciding whether we're going to go with ByWater or Catalyst to finish this up. But we do have some perspective or some we do have some available options to move forward in this. So we're just kind of waiting until after December to decide which step to take. And that is that, other than throw out those proposals to us so we can figure out what we're doing for our next one next year.
Any questions for Christopher? Okay, John, can you take us through the monthly financial report and the Q3 report?
We had a busy quarter, as you might expect, with the conference activity. I note that all of the activity you see on the bank statement does not represent encumbered funds. It represents cleared funds. And because it was Koha-Con and the donations for Koha-Con drove finances, there's not a whole lot of income, but there's an awful lot of expenses that cleared in the month of September, bringing our end of month reconciled balance for September down to about $11,150. We still have some outstanding expenses for the conference that have not yet cleared. They're not reflected in October either as a result, and that's really due to the timing of the conference towards the very end of September and the fact that it will take me a while to get everything with the conference all reconciled and straightened away. With that being said, we had no income in the month of October, at least not in terms of the bank, and our closing balance for the month of October is down to around $7,500. But do note, as mentioned in the other Finance Committee matters, that I haven't been doing the monthly PayPal sweeps. All of the donations, save one that we received for the conference, were received through PayPal. And because I was hoping to be able to expend some of that money from PayPal instead of putting it over to the bank, the monthly clearing had not taken place since July. Well, those have now cleared, so that dip down to about $7,500 is really essentially only temporary, and that was made up once we hit the month of November. Like I mentioned before in other matters, all of the conference expenses have been paid, but they have not all posted. And I do expect that we'll have a final accounting of the conference, which this year is a completely separate event from the budget, but must be accounted for within the budget by the time we have our December board meeting. Before I move over to the quarterly financial report, are there any questions about the monthly report? Don't see anything in chat. I don't see any hands raised. So let's continue then on with the financial report. We actually did not have a second quarter report in the midst of planning all of the conference stuff. So the quarter three report actually includes quarter two and quarter three data. In terms of income for quarter three, we saw $7,548.97, with a majority of that coming from conference donations. This puts our year-to-date total at $11,552. And again, that's a lot higher because of the fact that when the budget was originally crafted, we had not yet put together Koha-Con and the koha-US conference. They were still two separate conferences as originally budgeted, not one and the same. That's why there's a lot of income that you do not see budgeted, just because of how we decided to combine the two after the budget had already been approved. With regard to quarterly expenses for the third quarter were $1,467.87. And again, with the timing of the conference at the tail end of September, there's a lot of conference expenses that are not reflected here in the third quarter expenses. We'll see the remainder of those come across within the fourth quarter. And our year-to-date expenses are $4,476.47. Lots more fun and excitement coming up. At the board meeting next month, the first draft of the 2023 budget will be presented to the board and then to the general membership. The general membership will be voting on it, I believe. I'm going to have to look at my notes. I can never remember who approves what. I write them all. Everybody else is responsible for approving them. But this is the exciting time where we try to plan the upcoming year and put together a budget, as well as put together a report for the discretionary fund that tells the board and the membership how much we have in our discretionary coffers. And so that will all be coming as part of the board and general meetings in December. That's it from the Finance Committee. I welcome any questions that anybody has about either of these reports or about the upcoming budget cycle. Nobody left, nobody fell asleep. That's a win from me.
Thank you, John. And I see I accidentally skipped over the Education Committee update. George, would you like to update us?
That's okay, because I was actually out of the room.
Then I planned that perfectly.
Yeah, you did. I'm not feeling good. So, and I want to apologize. I thought that that text message I sent was a private message. It was meant as a joke. So we met on October 19th, and as usual, we talked about web content before we went on to talk about special interest groups and reference sheets and the like. We're going to add some stuff to the learning page. It was kind of a, I mean, we filled the whole hour, but we only had, 3 or 4 people there. Rogan came from Equinox, so it was nice to have, and Galena, I don't remember where she was from, but we had some new people there. That was nice to see some new people wanting to get involved. And we just kind of went through the things that we normally go through. We're talking about, adding some more content to the website. We've done a little bit of work on some of the reference sheets. And our next meeting is November 16th, a week from today, at the same time as this meeting. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, George. And Education Committee is another great committee. If you're wanting to have a little more involvement in koha-US, that'd be a great one to join. We don't actually have a fundraising committee, no chair. So, hey, if you'd like to start up something completely new, fundraising might be a place to get involved. So now we've got about 15 minutes or so to have a discussion about bugs, issues. We have an upgrade coming up. So the floor is open.
I have a question for the group. I was wondering, George and I were working on a video, one of our upcoming videos, and we decided we're going to have to re-record it because while we were doing it, we were looking at some things and going, this isn't right. So there's some things that caught our eye that on a plugin that we're going to be covering in depth during our video. But I was wondering, does anybody use George? What is the name of that plugin? It's the one where you can batch modify permissions.
Yeah, it's the I think it's just called the batch modify permissions plugin.
It was talked about at the last conference and caught our attention, and we wanted to do more on it. But I was wondering, is anybody actually using that tool?
We use that.
We use it too at Pueblo.
Okay. Have you run into any issues with it? I will say that in our initial testing, George was running into an issue when we were testing it against the koha-US server that is running 2205. We were running into some issues where some of the features were not working. Have you guys run it on 2205?
No.
Okay.
We haven't.
So you might, if you have access to it, or if you want to play with it on the koha-US demo site, you're welcome to do that. But we've been running into some issues. We'll go into more detail in our video, but I know that is being pushed out pretty soon, and you might want to look into that because I am not sure if you guys will be running into an issue with that in the transition from one version to another, but George could not get, it looked like it was applying permissions, but it really wasn't. And that might be a problem if you've got a lot of staff that you're applying permissions to.
We use it every once in a while, specifically when we get new staff, but I haven't seen any issues with it recently.
And I did reach out. Oh, go ahead.
All the permissions did apply And yeah, I usually, if there's issues with permissions, I hear about them pretty quickly. So.
And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be an immediate issue in the upgrade. It may be an issue when you touch the template, where the changes may not apply. For all I know, if you apply the permissions in a former version and get transitioned over, the permissions may still be there. I don't know. I know that the mechanism that hides the permissions on the individual staff members' pages is still blocked, but it's what's going on behind that you can't see. If you touch the template and adjust a permission, I don't know if those permissions will go away or if the change just won't happen and it stays the way it was, but there may be some ramifications to that. I did reach out to Kyle because he was one of the names on the GitHub, and I think George has reached out to him too. But we've noted some things in the issues log on the GitHub, and if you want to find out now what some of those things are, you can take a look at that and look at what some of those concerns are. But hopefully, if this is truly an issue, they'll work on an upgrade to that plugin before they push out any major systems that are using it, because I do see some concerns there, and there are some issues. There's some concerns in using it in general. Just it's a fantastic concept on it, but it is early in its development. I think that there are some things that need to be worked out to make it a little bit more secure and sysadmin friendly, I think I would call it. But I'm all excited for it, but I have some reservations about using it myself.
The issues that I was having were all related to not using it manually, to to go in and add somebody to a list and then manually update the permissions for everybody on that list. It was the problems I was having were when a template was mapped to a list and then adding somebody new to the template. That's where I was running into issues.
Yeah, so you might be fine just using it if you're manually updating your staff, but if you're using the maps, that could be a problem.
So I usually manually update the lists, and I'm thinking about it now. I think one of the problems is that where it says that the template is managed by, or this patron is managed by a template, and you can't really see the permissions. I can see the issue with that, but I'll keep an eye on it when we switch to 2205. But yeah, haven't had any problems with it. So
I haven't played with it enough. Doesn't it only show that message if you're mapping? I thought it only did that with the mapping, but does it do that with the manual update saying that it's managed by a template?
I'll have to check again how we do it, but I thought, well, this is my work process. I get a new staff member, I add them to the patron list, and then I go into the tool and run the batch permissions modifier. And then when I go back to the user's account, it'll say that the user's permissions is managed by this template.
See, I know that there's a process in there somewhere that when you modify based on a template, you can go back and look and see the permissions actually in place. And I thought that was just the manual one. I thought it was just the mapping that hid those permissions if it was being automatically managed. So You know, like I said, I'm new to this, so I'm still wrapping my brain around the whole plugin.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. I never really, I always thought that was just how you used it. I didn't know there was an automatic or a manual way of doing things. So
Yeah, mapping, if you map it, it's supposed to automatically update. If you update the template, it automatically updates everybody that's in that list, if I remember correctly. But the manual update, I don't think blocks you from seeing the staff members' permissions or modifying them. It's just when you're mapping. Does that sound right, George? I think I've lost George.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, the issue that I was having is that it was having trouble after on the upgraded site on the 2205 site at the koha-US demo, and my test server has also been updated. And the issue was happening when I added somebody new to a template. They weren't updating the way I expected them to, the way that the others had.
But that's when they're mapped, right?
Yeah, but that was when they were mapped.
Yeah.
The manual processing of the people in the lists, that worked perfectly. It was only, the issue only became a problem when people were added to a list that was mapped to a template. That was when things were happening that I wasn't expecting them to happen that way. And I just posted in the text that since you can't see what permissions somebody has if they're mapped to a template, I did go and I had an old report that I could run that would tell me who has permissions, and I completely rewrote that. So that was a benefit, actually. So I got to update an old report. That was a lot of fun.
I think one of my biggest concerns about using the plugin, which will be one of the things that we mentioned, it's one of, you know, several aspects that we looked at, but one of the big things for me is that there's no protection on the templates. And if you're mapping to a template and for some reason that template gets deleted, then everybody's permissions go away. They're not saved on that particular staff member, as far as I can tell. If you're manually doing an update to permissions based on a template, I think all it's doing is just looking at the template and copying those settings over to the staff member. But with the mapping, you're running into some sticky areas. You know, you have to be careful who has, you know, permissions to those lists, for one thing. So, you know, because anybody can throw a name in a list if it's shared. So if you're not sharing it, then only one person is managing that. So you have to be careful who has access to those lists. And, you know, the second thing is, you know, you have to find some way to protect those templates, because if the template disappears, then everybody's permissions disappear, and that's not a good thing. And so you might have to write some jQuery to prevent a template from being deleted in some way. So there's always there are some things there that give me pause to jumping into it right away.
I found out that writing very angry and warning emails or messages on the templates usually stops people from deleting them. So
one would hope.
I've been doing it for, you know, since we migrated to Koha, and I haven't had that happen yet. So, because I will find them if they do it.
Something that needs to be modified, or could you just make it execute only? Is it? I had to help a patron, so I may have missed this part, but is it a template that shows where things go, you know, points to this list, or is the list in the template, and just make it instead of RWX, just X?
So the template is a patron record, And
Okay.
the list is a list of patrons on it. And you use the permissions that are set on the template to match the permissions that are on the list. And that's what this tool does.
Okay.
And I never usually, the only thing I've used the mapping for is to map the list to the template patron. And then use that to batch modify all those patrons to have the same permissions that the template patron has. Hopefully that makes sense.
You know, what I'm thinking is I hopped over to the GitHub page for this plugin. And what would be really useful for this and many other plugins is if there was actually some documentation as to what the plugin is supposed to do. Because it's just kind of out there, and there's the README file has information about how to set up koha-US plugins, and it has information about how to install the plugins, but it doesn't actually say this is what this plugin is supposed to do, and this is how it works. Or at least if there is a file like that, I can't find it for this plugin. So,
You know, it comes to mind too, you know, that plugin. I was surprised that that plugin, you know, it just shows me all of my patron lists. You know, if I create a patron list, it shows up in that plugin, and it's like, wow, you know, if I accidentally picked the wrong patron list and applied permissions, all those people would have permissions instantly, and it's like I'd have to go back and if I didn't catch that, I'd have to go back and fix that, because otherwise I'd have all those people out there that accidentally had all those permissions, and that's not a good thing. You know, it's too bad you can't specify which patron lists can be accessed by that tool. But like I said, this plugin is in its early stages. It's good, you know, and if you're careful with it, it's going to be a good tool, but there are ways to slip up with this tool too.
So yeah, I've done that. I've actually, but it went backwards. I took all of our managers and gave them all like shelvers, material handler permissions. So it happens, but if you are careful, you can catch it pretty quickly and fix everything. So.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that video when y'all get it done and learning more about it. So we're at the top of the hour, and one thing I guess I wanted to say is like the 2205 upgrades are coming. Some people have got it on their test servers if they have one, but it should be coming to others in December, I think. And I know that ByWater has some webinars that you can sign up for to learn all about new features. So you can find that. And anything else before we end our meeting today?
I guess since there are two ByWater people still in the room, maybe we can ask them what they think the timeline is going to be, because it seems like the Q&A town hall stuff for the training is in January. So I think it's probably going to be more like January that the upgrades will start. I don't know if Adam or Elise knows what the timeline looks like.
Yeah, that's about right from what I've heard about January. Maybe sooner, maybe December, but we'll keep you posted if anything changes for sure.
I was just concerned because Barbara said December, and I thought maybe she knew something I didn't know.
I thought that's what I'd heard. So Jason put some links there to the webinars and the upgrade hub, which are great places to go to get information. So check those out. Okay, we are gonna end this meeting. We can stop the recording. And if you're on the conference committee,